All right guys, today we are putting the frame chop front bumper from Next Venture onto the DEBICON. Deb has had some trouble getting into some obstacles, not having the clearance she needs, and her new 40s have been rubbing. So contacted Next Venture and got their frame chop front bumper. But what I noticed is there is not a lot of documentation out there on how to install that front bumper. So I'm gonna do as comprehensive a video as I can today to walk you guys through what it takes to put on that frame chop bumper. It isn't as simple as a bolt-on. It is a little more complicated, but honestly, if you have some skills with a plasma cutter, a grinder, and a welder, you can easily get this job knocked out. So I'm gonna try and walk you through every step we're gonna do and show you what it takes to get this thing installed. Okay, first step in getting the bumper installed. Obviously I removed the factory front bumper, I removed the sway bar. So now we are going to cut off the stanchions that were for the sway bar. So we're gonna cut this off, and we're also gonna cut off where the sway bar bolts to. So all this has to get removed before we can put our frame chop plates on, and then we'll go into the next step. So first step, I'm gonna use a plasma cutter. You could easily use a grinder with cutoff wheel as well. But we'll use a plasma, knock all this off, and then we'll get to the next step. As cool as burning yourself is, I'd rather not. Okay, next step. So we have our sway bar drop brackets removed. So I'm just gonna clean up these frame rails. And then there's actually a template that shows us exactly where to cut from the Next Venture set. So once we have this all cleaned up, we'll put our cut templates on there, mark our cuts, and cut off the tip of this frame rail. All right, so one of the coolest things in the Next Venture kit is they actually give you a template for your cuts. So this hole right here keys into this hole on the frame, makes it super easy to line up. And they give you the two markings, whether you're gonna be doing the 3-inch chop or the 5-inch chop. So if you're doing the big boy chop and you wanna play with your AC, you can cut it all the way back to here. We're gonna be doing the 3-inch chop because we wanna keep a little bit of the frame horn so we can mount a cool bull bar, some lights, and I also don't want to have to mess with the AC, so we're gonna be doing this stuff. All right, guys, here's what we're looking at. So you can see I've lined up the hole with this frame, this hole in the frame here, and then you have your options to do a 5-inch or a 3-inch. So we're gonna do the 3-inch, so I'm gonna mark these lines all the way around, and then I'll be chopping this off. I'm gonna be doing it with the cutoff wheel. You can use whatever thing you want. My plasma skills are not good enough to get a sharp enough line to weld to. And then I don't wanna do a Sawzall because I don't trust my Sawzall either. So I'm gonna use a new cutoff wheel and cut that guy off. Next step, got my lines all drawn using the template. I'm gonna chop this thing all the way around, try and make a nice straight cut to weld to. Now that we have the frame rails chopped nice and flush, I'm just gonna go around, clean up everything really, really good so we can get a decent weld. All right, next step. These are your sway bar mounts. So obviously we had to cut all the sway bar bracketry off. Next Venture gives you a bracket to mount a aftermarket sway bar of your choice. It keys in off of this body mount. And if you look and you have your cut line from your original sway bar, it'll basically key in on that same exact sway bar spot as well. So it makes it very, very easy. So I'm just gonna trace around everywhere I'm gonna have to weld. This will give me a good area where I need to clean up all this powder coat so I can get a good weld on the frame. All right, now that we have our sway bar mounts all welded up onto the frame, I'm basically just doing a test fit here of our mounting plates for the bumper itself. That way when we weld this on, we can make sure it's in the exact right spot. So just gonna put these on loosely, put it up on the frame, and just make sure we're in the right area, and then tack this in place. Okay, let's see if we got this in the ballpark here. So Next Venture gives you little laser engravings where the frame is supposed to mount, and it's exactly dead on. That's when you know you got a good product. I'm gonna tack this in place. I'll take the bumper off, and then I'll fully weld this. All right, got our finished welding done. We're just gonna let these cool off for a little bit, and then we'll mount the actual bumper up. Okay, last piece we took care of here, just bolting the bumper up. I did paint the interior so it won't rust. Next steps are gonna be dropping in the winch, putting on my fair lead, and then ultimately mounting my control box. So what I will do is I will actually walk you guys through exactly what I did once I get finished. Here it is, all finished up. So we got it all painted, and we got the winch mounted. So I just wanted to go over real quick. So bolting everything up, super simple. Depending on what winch you have, you'll have to come up with your own mount for the control box. So this is what I did with mine. So I have a Smittybilt Gen 2 winch. So I found a good little hole right there next to the body mount behind the bumper. Seems to be pretty well protected there. Painted everything up. I did leave the Next Venture logo raw so you can kind of see who makes it. You can see everything tucks in there really, really nicely. So I did have to do some trimming here. You can see I just notched this out just enough to clear my free spool. And this had just enough room to fit that 10,000 pound winch in there. There it is. Pretty awesome. We love it.